It's 3:17 a.m. in Washington, D.C. The city sleeps, but inside the White House, lights burn as urgent news breaks. Across the globe, the expanded BRICS nations have just announced a new trade framework, one that bypasses the US dollar. It's not war, but in the world of global finance, it's just as seismic. For nearly 80 years, the dollar has been the world's anchor, king for oil, trade, and debt. But tonight, BRICS, now including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, and Egypt, signals a break from that order. They're not asking permission, they're building a parallel system with their own currencies and institutions. Western markets react with nervous uncertainty. Traders scramble to decode the implications. Is this symbolic or the first real step toward a de-dollarized world? The communiqué speaks of a more just, multipolar order, diplomatic words, but backed by nearly half the world's population and a huge share of its economy. These nations have emerged, and now they're asserting their influence. In financial capitals from London to Tokyo, market terminals flash with alerts. Oil prices flicker. Currencies shift. The world hasn't ended, but it's shifted on its axis. This is more than a press release. It's a historical marker, the result of years of quiet planning and growing dissatisfaction. The post-Cold War era of American dominance feels more distant than ever. A new chapter is being written, and its first lines were drafted while the old world slept. The question now, how will the world respond? The rules are changing, and everyone is watching. The dawn of a new order has arrived. What is BRICS? The term began as a Wall Street label for four fast-growing economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. What started as an investment category became a real alliance, with South Africa joining in 2010. For years, the West dismissed BRICS as a loose group with little in common. The alliance persisted, building institutions and deepening cooperation. The real shift came in 2024, when BRICS expanded to include Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia. Now, BRICS Plus controls a vast share of global energy, shipping lanes, and a massive consumer base, over 45% of the world's population and a third of global GDP. The group's goal isn't isolation, but reform to make global systems more representative of today's world. They argue the post-W1 order is outdated, and now they have the numbers to demand change. BRICS is no longer just an acronym, it's a force reshaping the globe. Why build an alternative to the US-led system? For BRICS, it's about sovereignty and security. The dollar's dominance gives Washington the power to sanction and isolate nations at will. Russia's experience after invading Ukraine was a warning. Reliance on the dollar is a vulnerability. BRICS nations want options, trade in their own currencies, and financial tools they control. They're frustrated with Western-dominated institutions like the IMF and World Bank, where voting rights and loan conditions favor the US and Europe. In response, BRICS created the New Development Bank, offering equal voting rights and loans in local currencies. It's a concrete step toward financial independence. For BRICS, the goal isn't to destroy the dollar but to build a system where they aren't at its mercy. The quest for a post-American order is well underway. BRICS is powerful, but far from unified. It's an alliance of convenience, not conviction, riven by political and economic differences. Democracies like India and Brazil sit beside authoritarian giants like China and Russia. The biggest rivalry is China and India, two titans with a disputed border and competing ambitions. India wants a multipolar world, not one dominated by China. Economic imbalances add tension. China's economy dwarfs the rest, making others wary of dependence. Trade patterns sometimes echo old colonial dynamics. Russia, weakened by sanctions, is now the junior partner. Cooperation is slow, and big ideas like a common currency stall over fears of Chinese dominance. BRICS is united in challenging the old order but divided on what should replace it. Its internal paradox is both its greatest weakness and its biggest question mark. BRICS isn't just geopolitics, it's already shaping daily life worldwide. With Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Iran on board, BRICS now influences global oil prices. A decision in Riyadh or Moscow could change what you pay at the pump. The group is also reshaping supply chains. India and Brazil are building their own tech sectors, while China's Belt and Road Initiative creates new trade routes. This could mean new brands, different prices, and more competition in consumer electronics. In the digital world, BRICS nations are building their own platforms. WeChat, Yandex, India's payment apps, fragmenting the once global internet. For users, this could mean digital walls and new ways of communicating and shopping. The race for critical resources is heating up too. BRICS countries control much of the world's rare earths, lithium and cobalt, key for green tech and electronics. As the US and Europe scramble to secure their own supplies, competition will drive up costs and shape the next generation of technology. The BRICS shift isn't abstract. It's changing what you buy, how you connect, and what you pay. The world's new economic order is already at your doorstep. The choices made by BRICS leaders ripple into everyday life. The future is being built, one decision at a time. BRICS claims equality, but China is its engine. Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative is the backbone, building railways, ports, and digital networks across continents. The BRI links BRICS economies, exporting Chinese expertise and securing resources. For many countries, it's a lifeline for infrastructure the West won't fund. Critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy. When countries can't repay, China gains leverage, as seen in Sri Lanka. Even within BRICS, there's skepticism. India, for example, sees BRI as a tool for Chinese influence. The BRI is redrawing global trade routes, bypassing Western hubs and creating new corridors. It's the practical application of BRICS' vision, new systems, less reliance on the US-led order. China's ambition is the group's driving force and its biggest source of tension. The future of BRICS is, in many ways, the future of China's global strategy. We're at a turning point. BRICS is the biggest challenge to US dominance since the Cold War. America's power rests on its military and the dollar. BRICS counters with population, resources, and manufacturing might. They're not matching the US militarily. They're rewriting the rules of trade and finance. But can this diverse group truly unite? Can India and China set aside rivalry? Can democracies and autocracies share a vision? Nationalism and competition could easily fracture the bloc. The future, likely, isn't a US-led or BRICS-led world, but a messier, multipolar reality. Competing currencies, overlapping trade systems, and shifting alliances will define the new era. For the US and its allies, the challenge is to adapt, compete, and cooperate where possible. The unipolar moment is over. The great game for what comes next has just begun. The world is watching, and history is being written now.